Ladies and gentlemen, I just watched the worst pro wrestling match, and now I want to try to make a list of 5 matches that you should show to people to get them to actually like pro wrestling and the art of professional wrestling. And no, there's not going to be some Shawn Michaels bullshit of fucking an hour-long Iron Man match. If you show anyone an hour-long Iron Man match and say, this is what you should watch, this is pro wrestling at its best, you're a fucking asshole. You're a fucking asshole, and you're actively pushing people away because you're a fucking dork. And no person, I don't want to sit there and watch an hour-long Iron Man match. Don't sit there and try to sell it to me like it's a good thing. It's not. The top 5 matches. Hold on, we gotta get some oomph behind this. The top 5 matches to show a casual person. The list is going to start like this. Okay, here's our inventory. Our inventory starts right here. What we've got here is, first off, Samoa Joe versus the Necro Butcher. If you're not showing people this, you are actively a criminal, okay? Actively a criminal. I'm not doing honorable mentions. You shut the fuck up. This is my list. I'm not doing honorable mentions. You're either you're on the list or you're not on the list, okay? If you're not on the list, fuck off. Fuck off forever. Samoa Joe versus Necro Butcher is 1. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn. Katsuyori Shibata versus Tomohiro Ishii. I think I'm doing pretty good so far. See, you don't want to show people an hour-long match, a 45-minute long match, or a 30-minute long match, because people aren't going to sit there and be captivated by it for that long. All right, they just aren't. You have to grip them with the bare minimum first in order to get them to enjoy the more succulent, juicy, and fat-riddled affairs that come with later pro wrestling. Kobashi versus Joe, that's not a bad idea. That is not a bad idea. I'm not opposed to this. We'll put that on there. Kobashi versus Joe is a good one. All right. Okay. So let's give him a bloody affair. Give him some blood and guts. But what are we gonna do? We have Samoa Joe versus Necro Butcher. Maybe I know. Necro Butcher versus Low Ki. Not necessarily a bloody affair, but a very good match regardless. Oh, hold on. We gotta specify. From IWA Mid-South in particular. Now, you might be thinking, where else could we go from here? And listen, we're not going to stick with just independent matches. Obviously, we have a WWE match right here, right? So see, we did something good. This is NJPW, right? This is a Noah match. Oh, Noah v ROH, right? And then right here we have CZW. No, it's not. This is just IWA Mid-South. All right, fuck Adam Cole versus Ricochet. Stop bringing up this fucking modern hipster trash bullshit. That is not a fucking top match in any variety. Get the fuck out of here. You want car crashes that will grip people with how insane it is. Something that they're not going to see in their regular day-to-day. It breaks the stereotype of what pro wrestling is. It's not this masturbatory fucking pro wrestling nonsense, all right? You want spectacles. Shinsuke Nakamura versus, I would say, Kota Ibushi or Kazuchika Sakuraba, because you could instantly say Sakuraba. It's not mainstream. Mankind versus Undertaker is not mainstream. No matter how much WWE can try to tell you, no one outside of pro wrestling knows who Mankind is, and no one really gives a fuck about the Undertaker other than the dead man memes. Okay, you could show people this match, and I think they would care because, one, it's John Cena. Everyone knows do. And then CM Punk, because it's CM Punk. And CM Punk does have a bit more widespread appeal than just the average wrestling fan. You know what I would show? Actually, you know what I would show people? It's a long match, but it's such a car crash spectacle. I would show people this match. This is what I would show. And I think it would definitely leave people damaged for the rest of their lives. If you were to show someone a longer match, this would be the one. Number 1, to me, honestly, is going to be Samoa Joe versus Necro. You have to. It's short, sweet, to the point, brutal, shows all the things that make pro wrestling great by actually showing it and not just saying it. Punk versus Cena is up there. You know, you know what? I would put Punk versus Cena, I think, here just because of the star power of that match alone. So you gotta have, you need to have something that would get people gripping the crossover appeal, which again would also bring in. So I would say Punk versus Lesnar. And this is where you get picky. This is what I would do, because I like to shock people by when people say pro wrestling is fake. I would show them Masashi Takeda versus Shuji Ishikawa from BJW, and they would be horrified because there's nothing in that match that gives the they're goofing around, they're working together. It's very much a fucking wild fight. But in the last match, again, I don't think I would show them Kobashi versus Joe because people wouldn't really understand the significance of it. I think I would show versus Kota Ibushi, honestly, because of how hard they hit each other. It's just so good. You know, I would probably show a Mako Satomura match before I'd show a Manami Toyota or Aja Kong match. Probably a Mako Satomura, but what Mako Satomura match would we add up on there? You would show them this video. This is the video you would show, and it would make people never question pro wrestling ever. Here. I'm so attracted to women like Mako Satomura. It's definitely a choice. Yeah, it would be this one. Actually, it's this one. That's fine. Fuck it. I would show that. This is my list, all right? So we had a whole inventory of matches, right? We had Masashi Takeda versus Shuji Ishikawa, BJW. And honestly, you should watch all these matches on your off time. Lesnar versus Punk, SummerSlam. It's a great match. One of my favorite matches of both of theirs, to be honest. John Cena versus CM Punk, Money in the Bank. Legendary match in and of its own right, but it also has the crossover appeal and the stardom to flex on it for the casual fan to sit there and be interested because, of course, it's John Cena and CM Punk. Terry Funk versus Bruce Brody in All Japan. Never go wrong with any of them. They're all pretty good. Necro Butcher versus Low Key. Again, very violent affair. Not too long, like 10-15 minutes. Very, very physically and athletic, and people would be impressed with Low Key and his striking, I do believe. But if you want spectacle, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Kota Ibushi or Kazushi Sakuraba or even Sami Zayn from WWE would be the primordial choices if you wanted to represent how cool pro wrestlers can look. Shinsuke Nakamura is that fucking guy. When he was in New Japan, he was the Riz master. And of course, there's another legendary match like Kobashi versus Joe from Noah versus ROH. And I do recommend it for anyone to watch it. However, I will say with the caveat that Kobashi versus Joe is only understood, especially if you have the backstory behind it. The casual fan might not be too interested in it until they see the physicality of the match, and then they would probably be a bit more invested. But it's a little bit harder to get into because it's a little bit less known outside of the pro wrestling circle. But then, of course, there is Katsuyori Shibata versus Tomohiro Ishii from New Japan Wrestle Kingdom, specifically for the Never Openweight title. It is a match where it is a sprint, bell to bell, guys beating the shit out of each other in like a 5 to 8, however many minutes long it is. It is a match that is balls to the wall, dudes beating the fuck at each other, dudes, being awesome, and making you want to punch the air by seeing them do horrible shit to one another within a very short time frame. It is worth the time to watch that match. It is worth that time if you really want to get your blood pumping. And then, obviously, is the best choice to show anyone if they are questionable about professional wrestling. Samoa Joe versus Necro Butcher from IW Mid-South. Of course, it is the bloody, crazy psycho affair that is truly the best example of what pro wrestling is great about and what pro wrestling should be about in today's day and age that I do believe is missing entirely. Pro wrestling is missing that grit, missing that blood, missing that bitterness. People mistake long, conflated, bloated affairs with being full of hatred. Hatred can happen in the course of like 8 to 10 minutes, as Samoa Joe versus Necro Butcher show, and it is something that we still talk about 20 to 30 years later. They're going to continue talking about this match as long as pro wrestling continues to exist, and God knows we should all try to chase after the dragon that is this kind of match, this kind of legacy, and this kind of style, because at the end of the day, styles clashes make fights, and true grit like these two gentlemen do show is a true exemplary indication of what legacy is all about. Samoa Joe versus Necro Butcher is the match to show, as we could show up here. And of course, I would say show Shinsuke Nakamura versus Kota Ibushi if you're going to show any of those matches that I did say. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Kota Ibushi is just, again, the one of the peaks. So how we're gonna rank this is right here. Here's our top 5. It's not on the list because we came up with it during the back end of creating this entire list. Kana versus Meiko Satomura from February 13th, 2011, the Triple Tails Osaka event. 2 bad bitches beating the fuck out of each other. 2 women who honestly went on to exemplify and exhilarate all Joshi and pro wrestling fans since their inception. I highly suggest checking out anything from Kana, anything from Meiko Satomura, but seeing them 2 fight together is definitely peak. Number 4 is Punk versus Brock Lesnar. Punk versus Brock Lesnar, of course, everyone knows who CM Punk is. Everyone knows at least a bit more outside of the pro wrestling circle than most. John Cena is, of course, the most well-known, but Punk has a way and a scrappy style that I think that many people could relate to, and of course, everyone knows who Brock Lesnar is. UCAA champion, pro wrestling champion, mixed martial arts UFC champion. Lesnar is a big, scary man. We all know who he is, and he and Punk literally beat the shit out of each other in this no disqualifications match. It is the perfect example, and it is honestly an outlier in terms of what WWE brings to the table. When it's matches like this is when I care about WWE, and it's honestly only Punk matches as of late, since AJ Styles has retired, that I give a flying shit about, because Punk brings something real to the table that other wrestlers don't. You can say whatever you want about Punk, but Punk is one thing. He is a pro wrestler who will get it gritty for pro wrestling. Number 3 is a crazy choice. It is a longer match than all these ones on the table. Masashi Takeda versus Shuji Ishikawa from Big Japan Pro Wrestling. Death matches are not for everyone, of course, but if you're going to show someone who questions pro wrestling and the reality of it all, who questions pro wrestling and if it's real, questions pro wrestlers and their toughness, you show them Masashi Takeda versus Shuji Ishikawa from Big Japan Pro Wrestling for the deathmatch heavyweight title, which I've held. And you are going to not only surprise them, you're going to shock them, horrify them, probably make them gag, and stare in amazement as 2 dudes go to war in glass, in barbed wire, and in so much more as they lacerate each other and slam each other and hit each other in ways that you've never even comprehended. You're going to see some of the stiffest headbutts from Shuji Ishikawa that you've ever seen and you're ever going to show someone. And if they aren't at least impacted by the end of that match, maybe they're just a bit too jaded for pro wrestling. Number 2, of course, is Shinsuke Nakamura versus Kota Ibushi from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Just like Punk versus Lesnar, it has a way of being physical because they were actually beating the shit out of each other. However, unlike a lot of these matches, one actual similarity with the match prior to it is in that it is a spectacle. Shinsuke Nakamura is the man of 1,000 things, but he is not a man who wastes his movements. Shinsuke Nakamura is a man who is cool, he is full of charisma, he is full of the riz, and there's one thing that he's great at. It is using all of his movements to the utmost potential that they can. He does nothing. He wastes no movement. Shinsuke Nakamura is the coolest dude entering this ring. He's the coolest person fighting in this ring, and he's the coolest person leaving this ring. But then you'll want to watch Kota Ibushi do some of the craziest and most athletic things that you've ever seen someone do, and no one will ever watch a Kota Ibushi match and go, wow, that was fake, or wow, he had help during that. Kota Ibushi, during this time when he was the guy for DDT and slowly moving over to the New Japan side of things, he was just a phenom. He was truly the golden star, and if you watch this match, you're going to impress people with the physicality of it, but also the motifs of what you could call cinema are here. Just simple, beautiful moments that are going to make people think if they really want to watch it with intent. They beat the shit out of each other. It has a gnarly ass finish. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Kota Ibushi is my runner-up to headline this list. And then, of course, again, I've said it all already. Samoa Joe versus Necro from IW Mid-South is the quintessential independent pro wrestling match of the modern era that you could show to anyone. If you want to show someone a pro wrestling match and let them understand what this game is all about, what this theatrical bullshit is all about, Samoa Joe versus Necro Butcher is the match to show them. And if you think I'm fooling, you're the fool. You're the fool, because I ain't nobody's fool. Samoa Joe is what, bad motherfucker, and they're going to walk out of the match going, wow, he's a bad motherfucker. And the Necro Butcher is a bloody psychopath. That is my top 5 matches to show a casual person to get them into professional wrestling. If you have any comments, any thoughts, any ideas of what you think would be a top 5 match to show someone, comment it below. I want to read it. I want to know about it. We can watch this and talk about it on stream. And if you have any arguments against any of the matches that what I listed, please argue. I'm going to read it, and I'm going to laugh at you. Or I might read very seriously. It all depends on the mood I'm in. But I want to know what you all think about my list. What is your list? Have you shown people any matches off this list? Or what matches have you shown people to get them interested in professional wrestling? I want to know. You know what? My name is AKIRA. I am the Filthy Casual. I am the lord of getting people interested into new things. I am the lord of exploring new things. I am the most beautiful, handsome son of a bitch that you're ever going to meet, you're ever going to see. And I will see you all in the next video. Please drop a follow. Please drop a like. Please drop a sub. Come follow me on twitch.tv/AKIRAWay or kick.com/theAKIRAWay. And I'll see you all in the next video. Arigato gozaimasu. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to end these videos.